Мистецтво заради порятунку людських життів. Сьогодні в центрі Торонто відкрилася виставка українсько-канадського митця Тараса Полатайка. 9 лютого в стінах творчого простору BEC, що на 315 Кінг-стріт Вест, Торонто, відбулась презентація виставки фотокартин українсько-канадського митця Тараса Полатайка. Творчий проєкт досліджує концептуальні перетини розриву та відновлення. Митець привертає увагу до культурного конфлікту, переміщення, ідентичності та моментів культурного геноциду.
Exhibition is part of a collaborative campaign designed to raise awareness and support for Ukrainians at this critical moment in history. The works in the exhibition are for sale, with net proceeds going towards Taras Polataiko's extraordinary efforts to provide food, medicine, protective clothing, and surveillance drones.
I am an art dealer, and this is a project space where I do work that I feel is very socially important. I've represented this artist, Taras Polataiko, for over 25 years now, and I was planning on doing a show, and the moment at this time, his work is so incredibly poignant. It's about cultural oppression in Ukraine and a very long history of oppression. And so we thought it was really important to do this show at this time to create awareness of that message. So the BCU approached us to see if we would be interested in doing a fundraiser, and we would just close the show, which will now tour museums across Canada. And it was just this moment where it was still available to reopen, and we decided to do an event and reopen the show for the Ukrainian community for tomorrow, which is Friday and Saturday from 1 to 6 p.m. And the show is a very important show about an artist who spent his whole life dealing with the issue of Ukrainian oppression.
Тарас Полатайко має українське походження, емігрував до Канади у 1989 році та здобув ступінь магістра в Саскачеванському університеті. Його роботи отримали міжнародне визнання, зокрема в Іспанії, Австралії, Литві та Україні. В Канаді роботи Полатайка виставлялись в художніх галереях Монреалю та Торонто, а також Реджайни та Саскатуна.
Знаєте, мені просто приємно, що нарешті якось його чути, що, мені здається, дуже довго Тарас спробував висловити ситуацію в Україні, його почуття з приводу ситуації, з приводу російського імперіалізму, української ідентичності, але якось не було зацікавленості в Канаді. Певно, в діаспорі було, але загалом, врешті, Канаді якось це людей не цікавило. І тепер просто приємний момент, що нарешті люди зацікавлені, люди слухають і якось до цього серйозно ставляться.
Ця виставка представлена у співпраці з фундацією Данилєва.
There are many different ways that everybody can help, and this is the way we've chosen, and we're very happy to be working with some wonderful artists, and now with Budushni's Credit Union, it's a great honor to collaborate with them. And the Lightbox project was primarily an awareness campaign to make sure that what's happening in Ukraine is foremost in everybody's thoughts and minds, and that people realize and acknowledge that this is an important thing in our life and for our future and the future of democracy and society.
The Danilou Foundation has launched the Freedom Heart Initiative as a fundraising endeavor that involves public programs, a mural project, which you can see along King Street here, and the Freedom Heart Lightbox, which can be purchased through our website at freedomheartukraine.com. We also have a limited number of lightboxes available this evening over at our coat check for purchase. The Lightbox serves as a beacon to remind Ukraine that we stand with them in this fight for freedom and democracy. It is our goal to light up every window in solidarity.
Під час презентації виставки Тараса Полатайка відбувся тихий аукціон. Фінансовим партнером заходу стала кредитова фундація «Будучність» разом із ініціативою «Есист», що допомагає українським лікарням з необхідним медичним обладнанням та імплантами для пацієнтів з важкими травмами, отриманими внаслідок війни.
In response to the war in Ukraine, BCU Foundation established a medical humanitarian initiative called CAUSE, Canadian Assistance to Ukraine for Surgical Equipment Fund. CAUSE provides orthopedic and trauma surgical supplies for Ukrainian hospitals and physicians caring for patients with wartime injuries. You can donate by dropping off your donation in the box or by tapping your credit card to a terminal. You can also visit the silent auction table next door, as all proceeds from the silent auction will go towards Assist.
We started collecting supplies for Ukrainian surgeons and hospitals when the war started, and the BCU Foundation kindly organized the shipment of these supplies to Ukraine. And so we collected over $1.5 million of orthopedic implants, supplies, and other surgical instruments, and shipped them through the Mies company, and were able to successfully deliver them to hospitals across Ukraine. But this initiative hasn't been sustainable. In Canada, surgeons and physicians don't control the supply of all of these implants, and it's getting harder and harder to collect them. Next slide. So what we learned in talking to the surgeons in phase 1 was that they're encountering very complex traumas that they haven't seen before, and many surgeons in Canada haven't seen. And so this is just one example. This is on the left, that's an x-ray of the knee, and what you can see is the bone is shattered. And on the right, you see the patient's leg, and what happened was there was a blast, they lost tissue, so muscle, skin, and bone, and they had an external fixator put on, and basically you have to rebuild that entire bone, and that's a very challenging problem to deal with. Next slide. But if you have the right implants, it's quite easy to do. So next slide. And so if we look back to that first picture I mentioned, the Azov-style Defender, in Ukraine, as a result of Soviet training, the practice has been to place these external fixators on, which are actually quite expensive and cost about $500 to put that fixator on, and they're not particularly effective. Whereas in Canada and North America, we would treat that injury either with internal fixation, so plate and screws, which cost under $100, or a brace, like what's shown on the right. So we readjusted the focus of the program to encourage Ukrainian surgeons to adopt modern evidence-based orthopedic techniques by one, organizing educational opportunities.
Yeah, so it's very difficult for them to treat these injuries because they not only injure the bone, but they also injure the skin and the muscle, and it requires a multidisciplinary team of surgeons, orthopedic surgeons and plastic surgeons, to treat them over multiple surgeries over multiple days and weeks.
The soldiers tell their stories in their own words. They are witnesses to pointless atrocities with serious injuries and enduring scars. Many have lost limbs and face dramatically altered futures, both physically and psychologically. And yet their hope for a peaceful continuation of their country, their culture, and their identity speaks of something so universal that even if you don't understand the language, it resonates with something deep inside you. In hindsight, this work produced in 2014 was a harbinger of the current war. A frustrated prophet, the artist now struggles to gain access to the hospitals in Kyiv to continue this work in real time. But as chaos ensues, art, it seems, must accede to the survival. Although for Polataiko, they are one and the same.
Маленькими кроками до великої та амбітної мети – перемоги України у цій війні. Українські та канадські митці, меценати, лікарі та просто небайдужі громадяни об'єднуються, аби допомогти батьківщині в непростий час. Роксолана Бояк, Костянтин Сніцер, Форум ТВ, Торонто.